Yo, what's going on, boys? It's Flip here, and today we're going to be playing some rapid chess on chess.com, as you can see. I'm going to be playing some 15 plus 10-second increment training games here, and basically the point of this is to prepare for my tournament coming up in February, and yeah, let's just hop right into it. Starting out as black here against a 1400 opponent. Plays d4. Start with knight f6. I typically like to play Grunfeld style positions here, or Benoni style positions. He's starting off with d4 c4, the main line. I might go for a two knights tango here. Let's see. Let's go for a Benoni here. And usually when I play the Benoni, I like to play the check Benoni. So after d5, I will be playing e5. Just because, I mean, mainly against low-rated opponents, they don't know these positions as well, and they aren't as good at maneuvering their pieces. So plays a kind of a chicken move here with e3. Fair enough, I guess. Let's see. You don't really want to take right away and just like give him this. It's always fine for him to take you because you'll have queen a5. So I'll start with g6 and maybe we get like some type of Banco style position if I'm feeling up for it. We'll just go bishop g7. See, no reason to worry about it. Again, even if I don't have queen a5 check, taking this opens up my bishop, so typically that's pretty good for black. And knight f3. See no reason to really be too worried just yet. I will just castle. And okay, bishop e2. He simply just wants to get his pieces out and castle his king. Probably am gonna go. If I start with knight c6, then maybe d5 is a little bit annoying. I'll go ahead and draw arrows for you. So knight c6, d5. I mean, I don't have the e5 square with my knight here on f6. Otherwise, my bishop would be able to help my knight. My knights hop into the center here. So I don't think starting with knight c6 makes too much sense. Because also knight c6, d5, knight b4. He always has a3 because I have no threats. If his bishop was on d3, then I could start with knight c6. But instead, I think... Maybe just b6 here. With bishop e7 ideas. Lining up against his king. Why not? I'll go b6 here. At some point I'm going to play d5, probably after bishop e7. I could have also just played d5 right away. That was probably made a little bit more sense. I don't really understand h3. I mean, just creating lifts for his king, I guess. Principled move in some sense, but I don't think it's particularly challenging. If I start with bishop e7, he might go d5, and then it's a little bit irritating. So I think I'm going to start with d5 here, and if he takes me, I'll take with my knight, and then I will have pressure against his c3 knight. If he takes me, he just activates my queen, and I'll have a very nice position here. So, yeah, I'm thinking he's likely just gonna castle. Oh, takes on c5. Okay. Fair enough. I actually didn't even think about taking on c5 here, to be honest. If I just take back now, then he has cd5, and it's protected by his queen and his knight, but then bishop b7, and then he has e4. So like, let's say I take back, he takes, I go bishop b7, he has e4, and it's not really super easy for me in this position, so I think I just have to take on c4. And if he wants to trade queens and then eat this, I mean, I get the open a file. It can't be too bad. I really don't like this BC variation with cd5, so I'm gonna go ahead and take on c4. If he takes me, I get the open d file, and I mean, okay, his bishop can come to c4 and all that, but I'm not really too worried about it. If he doesn't exchange queens, I might play something like queen c7. Honestly, I'm not really too fond of the position that I'm in right now, if I'm being totally honest. I don't like this move by him, though. I don't like cb6. Because, okay, you're going to go up a pawn, but it should not be the end of the world. He'll have a 2-on-1 on the queen side, but, I mean, shouldn't be anything to worry about. I'm just going to continue with queen b6. I would go a b6, but I'd rather have an isolated a pawn than an isolated b pawn, personally. Just because if I have an isolated b pawn, it just feels like more of a target to me. So bishop c4, pretty much what I was expecting here. I'm probably just going to continue with bishop b7, put pressure on his knight, and maybe allow some knight e4 jumps. This guy really needs to get castled sometime soon. I also have rook d8 ideas hitting his queen with tempo. Let's see. If I go rook d8 right away, maybe he has some annoying knight d4. Rook d8, knight d4. Probably just e5 there. What am I talking about? He cannot go knight d4. Okay, so rook d8, and then like what? Queen c2 or queen b3? Ooh. Rook d8, queen b3 looks really irritating, because then I like have to trade queens because of the threat on my f7 pawn, unless I want to play e6. But then he can take my queen. Okay, I get the open a file, but again I have that isolated b pawn. And I feel like it's a lot easier to stop a queenside majority with an a pawn than a b pawn. So I don't really like starting with rook d8. I see no reason to tempi his queen somewhere where it can create issues. I will instead probably start with bishop e7, just putting pressure on his knight. Because then if he allows this rook d8 move and his queen moves away, I can just take his knight and damage his kingside structure. Because he's really not going to castle queenside here with his b2 pawn under pressure. Okay, so he just goes bishop e2. I mean, this guy, he's not a bad player by any means, but he really needs to get castled, because I have all my pieces developed other than this knight. His bishop does not have a good square since he played this e3 move all the way back on move 3. He can't really play b3 because it destabilizes his knight here. So I'm thinking about just continuing like knight d7, or you don't really ever want to go knight c6, by the way, or anything like that if you have a bishop here. It's typically okay with like kingside fianchettos, but I really prefer to not put my knight in front of this light square bishop, because then it kind of relieves the pressure on this diagonal. So I'll probably continue. Ooh. Maybe instead of bishop e7, I should have went bishop a6. I didn't even look at that move. Okay, that'll be something that I look at after this game. Let's say I go knight d7 and he castles. I mean, what's the plan there? Could also go knight e4 and just get mega pressure on this side of the board. Knight e4 kind of forces him to swap. And then I have a threat on his b2 pawn. I really like knight e4, so I'm going to go for it. Don't know if it's correct. Just need to play a little bit quicker here. I'm down 6 minutes. So I'm going to kind of just play my first instinct for most of these moves. Because the main reason why I'm kind of taking my time here is I just believe that he's played kind of inaccurately. So I want to try to punish his inaccuracies the best I can, and already he misses this idea. So I can take my pawn back. And then my queen can always retreat, like takes, and my queen can always come back on this diagonal. I really see no reason not to do this. I guess maybe it's not really worth, since his bishop sucks. Yeah, that bishop is not a great piece. But I see no reason not to do it. I'm just going to restore material equality. And he never has any rook d8s thanks to my bishop here on e4. So I will control the b file. He has this weak a2 pawn. I like my position here. Maybe you could say strategically trading my bishop for this bishop is bad, but it is what it is. Okay, knight d2. It's just pressuring my bishop on e4, trying to get it to move so he can play rook b1. I mean, that's a fair enough idea. If I go bishop f5, g4, not really in love with that. I can also just go rook d8, pinning his knight. And yeah, I mean, that just looks like a very good move to me. The only thing I'm really worried about with rook d8 is my rook not being defended. I'm gonna go for it. This could be inaccurate, but I'm gonna play it. I don't see a direct reason not to. If he plays something like f3, then his e3 pawn is kind of weak, and these dark squares around his king are not really protected super well. My queen can always rotate back around this way to pressure this side of the board. So this guy plays pretty quickly. I respect it. I usually play quite quickly off camera, but since, you know, I'm recording a YouTube video trying to explain more of my thoughts than what I normally would, it's usually pretty easy for me to kind of understand the positions, but I don't really have much experience, and I think, yeah, that should just be a blunder. Because I take his queen. If he takes my queen, I take his rook. I mean, maybe it's okay for him. Maybe, I mean, this was my intention, was to just take his queen, so I'm just gonna do it. Yeah, and he takes, and then, I mean, we're just gonna trade, I suppose. Oh wait, no, I can just go rook d2 here and fork his pieces. Yeah, so rook d2, and I should just win the game now. That was very clean. You should always take a moment to double check what move you're going to play, because very clearly there I was about to just trade my rook when I have a very clean fork over here, and he has no way to protect his bishop with his knight or something like that. So this should just be GG and a very clean conversion. Okay, that's a fair move. I can always just trade first though, and then take your knight. So, good try, I suppose. Because if I would take his knight, he would just take my bishop, and then I actually lose the game because my rook would be hanging over in the corner. I mean, just have to find some accurate moves here. Just play rook c2. Or even, no, bishop e2, he just takes my rook. So rook c2 is the move. And yeah, I'm doing just fine here. Bishop d5 should be a-okay. I'm double attacking his a2 pawn. And yeah, just gonna be making it out here like a bandit. Love to see it. This is gonna be like my first public video in a very long time. I'm just gonna trade. It's the simplest. And then I will go knight a6. Because we need to, I mean, it's not that we really need to, but I want to cover second rank infiltration and have my c8 square open, or just my rook open for development. And then this is now an endgame. In chess endgames, you typically want to just start bringing your king. I'm not hanging anything, so why not just improve my king's position, get it a little bit closer to the center of the board. I'm probably going to go bishop e6 and rook c8 at some point to trade these rooks, or offer a trade of rooks. He can decline, obviously, but I mean, either way it doesn't do him much good. Just going to go bishop e6. I have knight c5 ideas, trying to just take some squares. Okay, so I don't necessarily see a point of this. I suppose he's forking my pawns here. You don't really ever want to be afraid to lose material in end games where you're already up a piece. Losing a pawn or two is not the end of the world. But just for principle's sake, I'm going to start with king f6. And then probably go something like knight c5 and try to like reroute my knight back to d6. Just to create a very stable position. Okay, obviously he wants e5 here. So again, like I said, probably shouldn't be too concerned with losing this pawn over here. So I'm just going to go with rook c8 to attack this lad right here. He can always take this pawn. He can go e5 check first and then take here. Whatever he wants to do. I think I'm going to go rook c5. And then his knight is looking very short of squares. Yeah, I mean, why not go rook c5? Just restrict his knight. He can go a4. Not too worried. If a4, I'll probably go knight b4. Or even knight c7, or knight b8. If I go... I'm looking for ways to trap his knight here. So very clearly he just wants to go e5, but I am not concerned whatsoever. If I go knight b8, I control this escape square for his knight. I think I will do that. Just controlling this square, and then my idea is I want to go bishop c4 to control this, and then just go rook c7 and pick up his knight. Okay, not concerned. King f5. And I mean, I'm attacking his f4 pawn. Maybe something like rook d4. I guess g3 is okay as well. If I continue bishop c4, he has rook c1. And then I don't really love my position. I can always go king e4 here, and I'm hitting his h3 pawn. I'm not really too afraid of any checks or anything like that, because my king can just move away. And I'm going to hit his pawn here. I'm not allowing his rook any infiltration onto my my second rank or seventh rank, however you want to look at it. And I mean, this is not the cleanest conversion that I could have had, but this knight is pretty stuck, and I should be picking it up sometime soon. The main reason why I'm playing king e4 is not only to create this threat, but then maybe I have king e3 after bishop c4 and my rook is protected. So should be GG, one would think. I've said that like 3 times now, but a chess game isn't really over until it's over. But we shall see. We could also just go bishop d7. Yeah, bishop d7 is probably the easier way of doing this. Bishop d7, and then rook c7. Because why even bother pinning myself? It's just dumb. Yeah, this is not going to be great for chess YouTube because I've kind of broken a lot of principles here in this game. But it is what it is. I'm simply going to go king f5, tuck my king. There's no reason for me to bring my king out this way now. One thing that I can say to help beginners is just play really flexible moves. You don't want to commit to anything too early. And I would say that's like the biggest thing. Let's see here. So number 1, I can give him a check here on c2. Don't really see a reason to do that. I think I'll just go rook c7, and then if he wants to trade knights, by all means we can trade knights. And we will go from there. So now, I mean, any move is going to be just very easy for me to deal with here. Can't really even suggest a move for him at this point. I mean, he's down a piece, he only has a rook to work with, so hopefully this can be wrapped up in the next few moves here. Wow. So recordings here at 25 minutes. I was not expecting this to be as long as it was, but I mean, I suppose it is a 15 plus 10 game. So, you know, 30 minutes is to be expected, I suppose. And now, I mean, just a very simple bishop b5. And then all the squares on the third rank are cut off from his rook, and we're just going to pick up his a3 pawn. So sometimes chess conversions take a little bit of time, but this is over for sure. And I will just go here. If we trade rooks, this is even easier for me. And yeah, 40 moves. This guy, honestly, for being nearly 200 points lower rated, he played very, very well. He played solid, maybe just a little bit too solid and passive is all I have to say. Maybe I'll do a post-game analysis section, but I do not want this video to be too long. I am... Let's see, what's more accurate? Anywhere I move my king, he can go king g3. I think f5 is probably the most accurate move, because if en passant, okay, we just simplify some pawns here. And a big thing to know is that in situations where, not that it necessarily applies to this game, but let's say this was a dark square bishop, and I have a pawn that will queen on a light square. If he can put his king over here, there's no way for me to win that game with a dark square bishop. If I just have bishop, king, pawn, and he just has king, there's no way for me to break through there, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I'm not the greatest chess player in the world, but I did study some endgames a couple months ago. Haven't been doing it as much as I probably should be, but that is something I want to say that I remember. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments. Any input is greatly appreciated. So. And now I'm simply just going to attempt to put him into Zugzwang, which means he'll run out of moves. So he'll either like take here and I'll take, and at some point he'll have to move his king away and I'll be able to take his f4 pawn. And I won't have to give up anything because I have a bishop that can move. Yeah, now I go e6. I basically force g5. Any other move loses a pawn, and then I just go like bishop e6. And there's nothing more he can do. I'm just going to take like this and then take this to deflect his king from the defensive f4. And then I will take this pawn, and then my e-pawn will promote. Okay? He wants to be stubborn, so I will play h4. I will force him to take now, because otherwise this pawn will just run. gotta give it to him. He's still trying to create some chances here. But I can just take that. My bishop will cover this pawn. This pawn's still running. Okay. There's no way for him to stop this pawn, and now I just sack my bishop for the pawn. Promote, and yeah, he resigns. That'll be a good game. One mistake, one blunder. Not surprised. I was pretty sure at some points I had played some inaccurate moves. So let's just take a quick look with the engine. Usually I recommend that you you look with your own eyes first before looking at the engine's evaluation, but yeah, not too bad here. Yeah, b6 was inaccurate. After I played it, and he immediately, or well, not immediately, but when he played dc5 later, I was not too thrilled. Engine just wants you to play cd4 here, I'm pretty sure, but I didn't really see a reason to get rid of the tension, because, you know, chess masters typically recommend that you try to keep the tension for as long as possible. I was thinking about playing d6, but I just really like this b6 idea. It's not like it's anything super terrible, but it does make white's position a little bit easier to play. Yeah, and I played dc4, which is the best. I mean, there's no way you can take back on c5 and try to claim equality. Aha! So, it did like AB better, huh? Huh. So it just wants you to take? What does it want you to do here? It wants you to take on d1. And it says knight d1 is best. Okay, fair enough. And then ab6, bishop c4, bishop a6. Okay. I mean, fair enough. Whatever. What I played is still fine. It says knight a6 is best. I could totally see that. Honestly, my knight on b8 not being developed made the game a little bit harder than it needed to be. It liked rook d8 immediately, but I didn't like rook d8, queen b3. I was not a fan of this. And it says just go knight a6. And if takes, he'll castle. And I just go knight c5, I guess. And like b4 is bad, because you probably just go knight e4, and then get some piece trades. This opens up with discovered attack upon the trade, and I mean, I guess that makes sense. So let's just get back to what's played in the game. Yeah, I knew this game was not, or this was not an amazing move. I should have just played knight a6. Fair enough. I knew strategically this had to be bad, because why trade such a monster bishop and get rid of all the pressure in the position just to restore equality? Yeah, and I found rook d8, which had to be the best move. And yeah, then I get rook d2 and knight c4, great move. Okay, well. Bishop d5, great move. I mean, just look at that. It's crazy. One great move. Best move. Another great move. Trade that. And I mean, from here it was just conversion. Okay, king f3, blah blah blah, whatever. Honestly, it really doesn't matter how you convert a game, as long as you restrict your opponent's counterplay. And yeah, that's GG. So you may be a little bit confused why there's some Counter-Strike gameplay going on in the background. Basically, moral of the story is I just needed a little bit of a filler segment here at the end to just kind of talk for a little bit. So I wasn't originally planning on uploading this video, but I decided to anyways, because let's just say I needed some content for another video that I'm going to be releasing tomorrow, and in the intro of that I kind of recorded it in a similar fashion to the way I recorded this one. So yes, I mentioned this February chess tournament twice. Please just ignore that. Thank you guys for understanding, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
I'll stop breathing, lie awake in the night, fight the feeling. Fuck love, I'm a mess for a reason. 6 feet in the dirt for the season. I don't like this life without the hue of your iris. Erase your face embedded in my eyelids. Patience paints the face of the silent. Sorry, I'm not coming down. Elevated all around my conscious things, I'm falling out.